Welcome back, class. Today's lesson we're going to be going over the first of our keyword abilities, and that would be Breaker. So Breaker, as you can see down here, is in green, which means it's a response ability. And the response is, after you block with this card, your rival's next check to play a card gets minus X. X equals its Breaker rating. So right here on 80% power, the Breaker rating is 1. So if you block with this card successfully, you can activate this responsibility. It does have to be activated. And your rival's next check will get minus 1. So then if they check a 5 on their next card, it gets minus 1, so they actually checked a 4. This is a really powerful defensive ability, especially if you can increase the rating. Let's see. Let's check out some Breaker cards, shall we? So Breaker 1, Breaker 1, Breaker 1. Breaker 1 is usually what you'll see. You might have some Breaker 2s here, like Use Case Spirit Wave. Pardon me. But normally you won't see a Breaker that's more than 1 or 2, because it is such a powerful defensive ability that can disrupt your opponent's turn, and really just break their combos, basically, because they might have to play a foundation, something with a lower difficulty, in order to mitigate the Breaker, because it is only on that first attack, or on that next check that they play. There was a character way back when called Lord Raptor. Those of you who are old like I am will remember Lord Raptor 2, giving all of your flash attacks Breaker 2. And then there were ways to increase your Breaker ratings. I personally hit someone with a Breaker 7. And they were not happy with me. Technically, I used 2 instances of Breaker, one for Breaker 5 and one for Breaker 2. So if you do have a card with multiple instances of Breaker, if, like, say you used, let's go Evil here. So we saw that on Evil, we had our Breaker 1 of 80% power. Now let's say we use the ability of Barrier Shield. Barrier Shield says you remove this card from play, reduce this attack speed to 0, the next card you play gains Breaker 2. So if we then block with our, if we use this ability, and then block with our 80% power, we have an instance of Breaker 1 and an instance of Breaker 2. Now, both of these are separate abilities. It doesn't increase to Breaker 3. So you will have to use the Breaker 2 and the Breaker 1. You're allowed to use both of them on the same, in the same response window. We went over response windows in an earlier video. So effectively, your rival's check will get minus 3. But you do have to activate both of these Breaker abilities individually. So you could give an instance of Breaker 2 to something that already has Breaker, unless the card effect specifically says you can gain this keyword ability if it does not already have it. Some cards, like Momo 2, Momo Yaoyorozu 2, says once per turn, after you play a weapon card, it gains one of the following keywords. Oh, it does not say if it does not already have it. But there are some cards that say you can gain this keyword if it does not already have it. So just something to keep in mind when you're playing your Breakers. If you do give something that has Breaker another instance of Breaker, those do have to be activated separately at the time that the response window opens. So you could say, I'm going to respond with Breaker 2. Do you have any responses? No. I'm going to respond with Breaker 1. And effectively, their check will get minus 3. So that's pretty much all I have to say for Breaker. It's pretty simple. It's a very strong defensive keyword ability. And until next time, class dismissed.